The fifth generation of Pokemon is coming to a close. Sure, some people will still play their old Black 2 and White 2 games, but with release of Pokemon X and Y just over the horizon, soon the only ones left in Unova will be the Jellicents and the Chandelures. 'Cause it'll be a ghost town. So I thought, to commemorate the closing month of this generation, we'd take a look back at the top 10 Pokemon who impacted the Black and White Overused metagame most. At number 10 we have Genesect. While Genesect wasn't introduced until later in the Black and White 2 era, and was subsequently banned not long after that, it still had an incredible impact on the Overused metagame. With perfectly allocated stats, an outstanding typing and move pool, and a top-notch ability all rolled into one, it's no shock Genesect quickly became popular. Its popularity peaked as it neared its banishment from the OU tier, when over 50% of all teams on the ladder utilized its awesome potential. Unfortunately, due to its relatively short romp in the OU tier, Genesect wasn't able to have as much impact as others on this list. But the very fact that it's made the top 10 at all shows that it was a dominant force for its time. At number 9 is Dragonite. This Dragon-type Pokemon has been around the Pokeblock plenty of times, but it really hit its competitive stride in the 5th generation. Thanks to its new Dream World ability Multiscale, its OU viability skyrocketed. Players quickly realized how dangerous it could be because, thanks to Multiscale, it could tank much more punishment than before, allowing it to survive hits it had no right surviving. The Choice Band and Dragon Dance sets showed Dragonite's power when coupled with extreme speeds, shiny new +2 priority. Everyone figured out that the best way to deal with this doofy looking dragon was to get Stealth Rocks on the field as quickly as possible. In this generation, every good team needs Stealth Rocks, and a lot of that has to do with Dragonite. At number 8 is Excadrill. The main Sandstorm Abuser was a huge force in the Black and White 1 metagame. This Pokemon is in the same boat as Genesect because even though it is now banned from OU, when it was a part of the tier, its mere presence shifted the metagame in a big way. While Excadrill roamed across the overused meta, the Choice Scarf item was largely considered irrelevant. If your team didn't have a Pokemon like Gliscor, Skarmory, or Choice Scarf Politoed, you were probably going to be swept by Excadrill. That's right, the only known Scarfer at the time was Politoed, who could both remove the sand and outspeed this maniacal mole. Finally, players decided they had had enough of this tyrant, but we all still remember a time when Excadrill ruled with an iron claw and the power of Rockslide flinches. At number 7 is Reneclus. This weird embryo of a Pokemon's usage has dropped recently, but that doesn't mean it's still not a huge influence on the metagame. With the introduction of Reneclus, a playstyle that had been common throughout competitive Pokemon's history died. That playstyle would be pure stall, a stall team that took down an opponent's Pokemon through only passive damage. Thanks to Reneclus's ability, Magic Guard, its move pool, and fantastic bulk, its calm mindset could easily dismantle this team archetype. Stall had to evolve in a big way to deal with this new threat, adapting many more offensive tactics. Pokemon like Choice Banded Tyranitar and even Scizor began to show up on stall teams. To this day, stall teams continue to be more offensive than in past generations, and you can thank Reneclus for that. At number 6 is Ninetales. It's easy to see why a Pokemon like Ninetales is on this list. Without its presence, we wouldn't have dedicated Sun teams in OU at all. Ninetales got everything it could wish for and more from the Dream World in its new ability, Drought. With Drought, it became a true soldier in the weather war that would be fought from that day forward. While it is considered to be the weakest singular weather setter in OU, the benefits it brings to a team are perhaps the strongest. Its Sun transforms Pokemon like Venusaur and Victini into OU superstars who can quickly overwhelm opposing players with their boosted powers. Ninetales has left a definite sun-bleached mark on the overused metagame, one that we won't soon forget. At number 5 is Deoxys Speed Form. The Speed Demon and the king of entry hazards. Deoxys S was a defining force for hyper-offensive teams due to the utility it could bring to the beginning of every match. It was a truly unbeatable lead, laying multiple layers of entry hazards like stealth rocks and spikes, or setting up dual screens. Hyper Offense went through a golden age of effectiveness when Deoxys S was around, an age that players are still trying to emulate. Pokemon like Custat Berry Skarmory, or Deoxys D before it, were made to try and replicate the effectiveness of lead Deoxys S. Deoxys S proved how powerful spike stacking can be for offensive teams, and that influence has stayed long after Deoxys S was banned. At number 4 is Terrakion. The 5th generation definition of offense. Game Freak really broke the mold when they created Terrakion. A blistering speed tier, titanic attack stat, and one of the single best stab combinations any Pokemon has ever seen. Terrakion also had all the tools needed to fill any role. It could break down walls with Swords Dance, or a simple Choice Band. It could sweep with Rock Polish, or play the role of a top-notch revenge killer with Choice Scarf. Terrakion was one of the biggest reasons why the base 100 speed tier is less significant this generation, along with why priority moves like Mach Punch and Bullet Punch are so important. Terrakion is the poster child of power creep in the 5th generation, and has proved its dominance time and time again. At number 3 is Tyranitar. The big Sandman himself, Tyranitar has been an OU force for quite some time. You can look at any point in 5th Gen's history, and Tyranitar will be sitting pretty near the top of the usage statistics. Now, Tyranitar has never been a prolific sweeper, or an above-average wall. No, what makes Tyranitar so good is the utility it brings. Be it activating sand-based abilities like Garchomp's Sand Veil and Excadrill's Sand Rush in Black and White 1, or pursuit trapping certain foes for Keldeo and Landorus Incarnate form in Black and White 2, Tyranitar has always been an outstanding team player. Sand tends to be the most neutral overused weather, so Tyranitar also sees usage from players wanting to get rid of rain and sun. It is probably the best weather starter in the game due to its higher stats, and in a metagame as weather dependent as 5th Gen, it was sure to leave its mark. At number 2 is Ferrothorn. Ah, Ferrothorn. What a love-hate relationship competitive players must have with you. On one hand, you're an awesome Pokemon to have around when you need to check a Dragon type or sponge some Hydro Pumps. But on the other hand...
Oh my god! Leech seeding? And what? How did he live that Fire Blast? Seriously?
Sorry about that. Channeled a little of my rage there. But truly, if Terrakion is the poster boy of 5th Gen offense, then Ferrothorn is the poster plant fruit thing of 5th Gen defense. It was the go-to defensive steel throughout the generation, and its water-type resistance would prove crucial as rain teams infested the metagame. Ferrothorn has maintained a high level of play throughout the generation, and has had a huge influence over the metagame as a whole. At number 1 is, drumroll please, Politoed! Politoed's drizzle ability has been the biggest influence this metagame has ever and will ever see. So many factors have been affected by it. Fire types lose their viability due to the weakening of their stab moves. Water type resistances and immunities are considered necessities when having to deal with rain-boosted hydro pumps. A litany of bans have happened to try and balance out the huge power of rain teams. First, Swift Swim was banned when combined with Drizzle. Then, Thunderous Incarnate Form and Manaphy were banned. Tornadus T was banned in Black and White too, and Keldeo was very nearly banned at the tail end of the generation as well. Politoed is the heart of the Black and White Overused metagame. Because of it and its ability, the metagame is what it is today. The Overused metagame as a whole would look vastly different if it wasn't for Politoed. Numerous Pokemon would become extinct, and others would rise from their rain-induced oppression. Politoed is truly the king of Generation 5. So there you have it, guys, my top 10 most influential Pokemon on the Black and White Overused metagame. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to leave a comment on who you guys think are the most influential Pokemon in the Overused metagame. And leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I do competitive Pokemon videos all throughout the weeks, and I will be doing Pokemon X and Y videos once those games have been released. So with all that, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.